The grand hall of the Galactic Council was filled with a heavy silence. The chamber was built from shining silver stone, a place where rulers of many alien worlds gathered to decide the future of stars. For years they had mocked Earth, laughed at humanity's weakness, and treated them like a minor race that should never have risen to space. But today something was different. The air itself felt tense, as if invisible storms circled around the chamber. The counselors looked at one another with unease. They were waiting for a report that had spread fear through the highest ranks of the galaxy. At the far end of the chamber, the Supreme Speaker raised his long, thin arms and called for order. His voice echoed across the walls. "We gather today because strange rumors disturb our peace. Fleets vanish without reason, patrols never return, and whispers say humans are involved." The word humans made many of the council members hiss and tremble. They remembered Earth, a world that once stood proud but was crushed by the council's will. They had taken resources, demanded obedience, and left humanity scarred. They believed humans had been broken forever, yet now shadows of Earth moved again. One alien ambassador, a reptilian creature with scales shining green, leaned forward. "This is nonsense. Humans no longer have power. Their fleets were destroyed long ago, their colonies scattered. They cannot be a threat." But another, an older creature with eyes like burning coals, shook his head slowly. "Do not be so sure. I saw them once. I saw their faces when they lost everything. There was no surrender in those eyes. There was only silence, the silence of revenge." Murmurs spread across the chamber. Many council members tried to laugh, but the fear in their voices betrayed them. They remembered how unpredictable humans had always been, fragile in body, but dangerous in spirit. The Supreme Speaker raised his hand again. "Let us not fall into panic. If Earth truly stirs again, we must know the truth." He turned toward a trembling messenger standing near the chamber's center. The messenger held a small data crystal, his hands shaking. The crystal was placed into the great projector. A blue light filled the hall, showing an image that made every council member lean forward in shock. It was a ship, but not like any ship they had seen before. It was massive, its shape dark and sharp, moving with silence across the stars. The counselors gasped, for its design was nothing like the clumsy human vessels they remembered. This ship looked ancient and yet advanced, brutal yet graceful, a shadow forged from rage and patience. A single message followed the image, simple but terrifying. 2 words glowed in human language, translated for all to see: "We remember." The chamber erupted in chaos. Voices clashed, some crying for war, others for peace. Fear spread like fire. For if this ship was truly human, then Earth had not been destroyed. Earth had been waiting. Earth had been building. One counselor shouted, "Impossible. They cannot rise again. We crush them." Another whispered with trembling lips, "Perhaps we never truly crushed them. Perhaps they only vanished into the dark to prepare." The Supreme Speaker struck the floor with his staff. "Silence. We must not be ruled by fear. This may be a trick. It may be another race using human symbols to frighten us." But deep in his heart, even he felt the truth. The silence of Earth had not been weakness. It had been preparation. Far away from the chamber, beyond the council's reach, that same human ship drifted across the edge of their space. Its weapons hidden, its power unknown. On its bridge stood a human commander, his eyes cold but steady. He looked out at the stars with a voice that carried through the silent room of his crew. "They thought we were weak, they thought we were broken, but we remember everything they did. We remember their laughter, their chains, their cruelty, and now it is time for them to remember us." The crew answered in unison, not with shouts, but with the same cold silence. Their hands moved across glowing panels, and the ship vanished into faster-than-light travel, heading directly toward the borders of council space. Back in the chamber, as the counselors argued, the older ambassador who had once warned them spoke again, his voice low, filled with fear. "Mark my words, they are coming. And when they arrive, no wall will stand, no fleet will survive. Humanity has returned." The chamber froze. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Council, which ruled thousands of worlds, felt powerless. The shadows of Earth were rising again, And in that silence, every alien heart knew one truth. Humanity's revenge had already begun. The Galactic Council chamber did not sleep that night. Fear spread through every corridor like a cold wind. Reports poured in from distant sectors, fleets missing, stations left in ruins. Every report carried the same terrifying whisper. Humans, yet the Council had no proof, only fear. And still, the words we remember burned inside their minds. They had mocked Earth once. They had stripped its colonies. They had left humanity broken, or so they thought. But now those wounds returned as scars of iron. Far away, in the ruins of an abandoned mining world, a lone alien trader drifted into orbit. His ship creaked as he searched for salvage, but when his scanners touched the surface, he froze. Beneath the dust lay cities of steel, vast human structures hidden deep underground. His voice trembled as he recorded a message. They never stopped building. They never surrendered. They waited in silence. That recording never reached the Council. The Traron. Adir's ship vanished into darkness, caught by an unseen force, and in that silence, humanity erased every trace of him. Back on Earth, the planet once thought weak and broken, cities now glowed with power. The people had united like never before. They remembered the humiliation, the chains, the blood spilled across colonies, and from that pain, they had built something greater. In hidden caverns beneath mountains, colossal factories roared day and night. Machines forged weapons no alien mind could imagine. Soldiers trained with quiet determination, not for glory, but for survival. Every man, every woman, every child carried the same fire. Never again, the human council of command gathered in a dark chamber deep below Earth's surface. Their faces were lit only by the glow of tactical maps. One commander, scarred from old wars, spoke in a low, steady voice. The galaxy believes we are dead. They believe we were broken, but our silence has been our weapon. Now we rise not for revenge alone. We rise for justice. Another commander slammed his hand on the table. Justice, yes, but the council deserves fear. They laughed while our colonies burned. They enslaved our people. If they remember nothing else, let them remember the day humanity stood tall. Silence filled the room as the leader entered, his eyes sharp, his expression carved from stone. He looked at each commander and spoke slowly. We do not fight to destroy. We fight to remind. They thought we were shadows. Now we will become storms, and the galaxy will learn that silence does not mean surrender. Meanwhile, across alien space, fleets patrolled nervously, yet none returned. Each time, wreckage floated silently where proud ships had once been. No blast marks, no signs of struggle, only absence, as if an invisible hand had erased them from existence. In the council chamber, panic boiled. One counselor shouted, "We must unite our fleets and strike at Earth before it is too late." Another screamed back, "And if this is not Earth, what if another power uses their name to scare us? We risk war against shadows." But then, a trembling voice from a communication officer broke through. Message received from Sector 7. The chamber fell silent. The hologram flickered, revealing a small alien survivor from a destroyed convoy. His body burned, his voice broken. They came out of the void, their ships, silent, their weapons, beyond reason. They said nothing, only a single broadcast before they fired. The chamber leaned closer, hearts pounding. The survivor's voice cracked as he whispered. They said, "We remember." Then everything turned to fire. The transmission ended, leaving the council frozen. No laughter remained, no arrogance, only fear, for the words of humanity were now written in fire across the stars. At that same moment, the mysterious human flagship appeared again, drifting at the edge of another system. Its black surface swallowed starlight. Its crew stood ready. The commander raised his hand. "Mark this world, not for conquest, but for memory. They will know we do not strike blindly, but with purpose." With a silent wave, energy weapons unleashed. In seconds, an entire alien stronghold vanished in white light, leaving nothing but silence. And then, as always, a final message lingered in the void. We remember, across the galaxy, alien worlds trembled. Parents whispered to children of the return of Earth. Soldiers feared the shadows. Leaders argued but found no answer. For the first time in galactic history, the Council understood what it meant to face humanity, not as victims, not as slaves, but as avengers. And still, humanity had not yet revealed its full strength. The galaxy had only seen a shadow of what Earth had become. The storm was only beginning. The Galactic Council was collapsing under its own fear. Reports came faster than they could be read. Whole fleets gone, colonies wiped clean, stations left in silence. Each time the same haunting words appeared. We remember, but none of them knew the truth. They had only seen fragments. They had only touched the edge of humanity's new power. The full storm had not yet been unleashed. On the dark side of Earth's moon, hidden far from alien eyes, the real secret was born. A vast armory of ships lay in silence, each one forged in secret during decades of Earth's exile. These were not ships of exploration or defense. They were ships of judgment. Black steel hulls stretched like blades across the void, their weapons humming with energy no alien could comprehend. Inside the flagship, the commander stood before his crew, his voice calm, steady, but burning with fire. The galaxy took everything from us. They believed we would stay broken, but we turned their chains into fuel, their cruelty into fire. We do not strike for hatred. We strike because they must never forget what it means to push humanity too far. The crew, hardened by silence, answered not with cheers but with a single word, I. Their voices low, unified, unshakable. Far across alien space, another fleet gathered. Thousands of ships from many worlds stood ready. The Council had forced them together, believing numbers could stop humanity. Their generals boasted, they are only humans. They are only one world. We are the galaxy. We will crush them again. But fear lingered even in their pride. The memory of vanishing fleets haunted them. Still, they armed themselves with arrogance, never imagining what was to come. The human fleet moved, silent as a predator. It did not announce itself. It did not warn. From the void it emerged, weapons armed but cowls. Its black hulls reflected no light, as if they were shadows given form. At the center, the flagship opened a channel. A voice reached across the stars, calm, cold, steady. You thought silence meant defeat. You thought absence meant surrender. But silence was our weapon, and absence was our shield. Now you face the truth. Earth has returned. The alien fleet answered with fire. Thousands of beams of light, thousands of missiles filled the void. The stars themselves seemed to burn. But when the light faded, humanity still stood. Their shields shimmered, their formations unbroken. Then humanity answered. The flagship unleashed its power. A single wave of energy spread outward, silent and unstoppable. Alien ships crumbled like sand before a storm. Entire squadrons dissolved into nothing. No scream was heard, only silence. The alien commanders panicked, shouting orders, but none mattered. For every human strike was precise, targeted, merciless. Ships that had once mocked Earth now burned in silence. On the Council's command screen, they watched in horror. Their greatest fleet, their wall of defense, turned to ash within minutes, not hours, not days, minutes. An alien counselor fell to his knees, his voice shaking. This cannot be. This is not possible. How did humans build such power? Another whispered with terror, because we gave them no choice. Back in the human flagship, a captured alien officer was brought before the commander. His body trembled, his voice weak. Why do you do this? You could rule us, enslave us, destroy us. The commander leaned closer, his eyes sharp. We do not fight for chains. We fight for memory. You laughed at our pain. You mocked our scars. Now every world will remember what it means to break humanity. The officer's breath shook as he whispered, You will not stop, will you? The commander's answer was cold. Not until the galaxy understands. As the last alien ships crumbled, the human fleet vanished. It again into silence, leaving only wreckage floating across the stars. The Galactic Council sat frozen in disbelief, their pride shattered, their confidence burned. They had thought of humans as fragile creatures. Now they saw them as storms wrapped in flesh. The Supreme Speaker's voice cracked for the first time in centuries. If they continue, nothing will survive. We must find a way to stop them, or we will kneel before them. But another voice, trembling and broken, answered from the shadows. Perhaps it is already too late. Humanity does not seek our throne. They seek our memory, and memory cannot be destroyed. The chamber turned silent. Each counselor realized the same truth. They had unleashed something greater than war, greater than power. They had awakened Earth's fury, and that fury was not finished. Humanity had only begun to show its strength. The storm was still gathering. The galaxy did not sleep. News of the battle spread faster than light. Entire fleets of the Council had vanished, their proud generals erased in minutes, their weapons useless against the storm of Earth. Everywhere, whispers grew into fear. On trading worlds, merchants closed their stalls, afraid to speak of humans aloud. On border planets, soldiers trembled at the thought of shadow fleets rising from nowhere. Mothers told their children, "Stay inside, for the humans have returned." And in the silent corridors of power, alien rulers sat with cold sweat, knowing their armies were no match. The council chamber shook with panic. Voices clashed, some demanding surrender, others screaming for more war. The supreme speaker tried to calm them, but his voice no longer carried strength. The sight of burning fleets haunted them all. One counselor, trembling, whispered, "If they wanted, they could erase us already. Why do they hold back?" Another answered in fear, "Because they want us to. Remember, they want every moment to cut deeper than death."
Far across the stars, the human fleet moved again, not with noise but with silence. Every strike was chosen with care. Humanity did not destroy randomly. They struck at the Council's pride, at their strongest walls, at the places they believed untouchable. And each time, only one message followed. We remember, in the heart of Earth's command chamber, leaders studied maps of the galaxy, their eyes calm but unyielding. One commander spoke, "They fear us now." The Council trembles, but fear fades if left alone. We must make them choose. Either they kneel in respect or they fall in fire. The Supreme Commander nodded. Then we give them a choice, one final chance, one ultimatum they cannot ignore. The human fleet gathered at the edge of Council space, a storm of black steel waiting in silence. Then, across every channel, across every star system, a single broadcast was made. The face of the human commander appeared, his voice steady, sharp, carried like thunder across the galaxy. "For centuries, you mocked Earth, you took our colonies, you burned our skies, you laughed at our pain, and we were silent. In that silence, you believed we were broken, but silence does not mean surrender. We did not vanish, we prepared, and now, the time has come for memory." The counselors in their chamber leaned forward, frozen. The message continued, "You have one choice, stand down and never again raise your hand against Earth, show respect, or face the full storm of our power. We will not repeat this warning. The galaxy will remember either through peace or through fire. The choice is yours." The message ended. Silence filled the stars. For the first time, the Galactic Council stood without words. Their armies were broken, their fleets destroyed. The ultimatum was not an empty threat, it was truth carved in fire. On Council worlds, riots broke out. Some demanded surrender, others demanded war, but in their hearts, fear was stronger than pride. No one could forget the sight of entire fleets erased in minutes. In the shadows, a secret group of alien leaders gathered. They whispered among themselves, "If we betray the Council and side with humans, perhaps we survive." Another answered, "If we resist, we vanish like the others." Already cracks formed in the Council's foundation, alliances breaking under the weight of fear. Meanwhile, human fleets patrolled silently. They did not boast, they did not roar, they simply watched, waiting for the Council's answer. And in their silence, the galaxy trembled even more. One young alien officer in the Council's navy whispered to himself as he stared at the stars, "They are not conquerors, they are not tyrants, they are storms, and storms do not need thrones. Storms only remind the world of their power." The Supreme Speaker of the Council sat in his throne, his hands shaking. He looked around at his fellow rulers and saw only terror in their eyes. He whispered, "We are no longer the masters of this galaxy. Humanity has taken that crown not with chains, but with fear." The chamber fell silent, for outside their walls, on the edge of their empire, humanity's fleet waited, and with each passing second, the ultimatum echoed louder, respect or fire, memory or death. The galaxy stood at a crossroad, and all of them knew, Earth would decide the path. The ultimatum of Earth spread like fire. Every Council world heard the message. Respect or fire, memory or death, and for the first time in living history, the mighty Galactic Council stood divided. Inside the great chamber, chaos ruled. Some counselors screamed for surrender, others shouted for resistance. The Supreme Speaker pounded his staff for silence, but no one listened. Fear had stripped away order, pride had blinded judgment. One counselor, with eyes lit, ice, hissed, "We are the Council, the masters of thousands of worlds. We cannot kneel to a single planet." Another, shaking with fear, shouted back, "And yet that single planet erased our fleets in."
The fortress world of the council burned, flames rose from towers that had once stood as symbols of power. The proud halls of arrogance were now ruins. The galaxy watched in silence, every world trembling. Humanity had won. They had broken the chains of centuries. They had shattered fleets. They had taken the throne of fear from the council, but now came the question no one could answer. What would Earth do next? Inside the shattered council chamber, the Supreme Speaker knelt on cracked stone, his long arms trembling, his voice broken. "End it. If you must destroy us, then destroy us now." His words echoed with despair, for he had seen the fire of human power. The human commander stepped forward, his armor scorched, but his eyes steady. He looked at the counselors not with hatred, but with silence. Behind him stood soldiers, weapons ready, waiting for his word. The galaxy held its breath. Would humanity erase the council as punishment, or would they choose another path? The commander's voice cut through the silence, calm and cold. "We do not come to enslave. We do not come to sit on your throne. We come to remind. We come so that you never forget what you did to Earth." A murmur spread through the counselors. They had expected chains. They had expected death. But instead they heard something far worse, a demand for memory. One alien counselor whispered, "Why do you spare us? Why not take everything?" The commander's eyes burned as he answered, "Because mercy is stronger than fear. But know this, if you forget, if you raise your hand against Earth again, the storm will return. And next time, there will be no mercy." The council chamber fell silent. The weight of those words crushed them more than fire. Humanity had given them life, but also a warning that could never be erased. Across the stars, the human broadcast reached every world. The face of the commander appeared once more, his voice steady. "We are not here to conquer. We are here to remember. You called us weak, you called us broken, but now you see the truth. Earth does not fall, Earth rises. And from this day, let every world remember, respect is the only path to peace." Billions watched in silence. On some worlds, people wept in relief. On others, they trembled with fear. But all of them knew the same truth. The balance of the galaxy had changed forever. On Earth, the people stood united, watching the transmission with pride. Their scars had become strength, their silence had become power, and their future was no longer written by the council. It was written by themselves. In the ruins of the fortress, the human commander looked out through broken windows. Stars burned in the distance, his voice quiet but filled with iron. "We were broken once, we were mocked once, never again." His soldiers stood behind him, silent, steady, unshakable. They had fought not for conquest, not for greed, but for memory, for the promise that no one would ever humiliate Earth again. Back in the council chamber, the Supreme Speaker lowered his head, his voice weak. "We understand. We will never forget." And so, humanity made its choice. They did not erase the galaxy. They did not burn every world. They chose something stronger. They chose to let the galaxy live. But under memory, under respect, under the shadow of Earth's storm, the galaxy would never see humanity the same way again. For mercy had been given, but mercy had teeth sharper than vengeance. And still, deep in the silence of space, whispers spread. If humanity could defeat the council, what else could they face? What greater storms could rise? And when they came, would humanity stand as shield or as fire? The smoke of battle still drifted above the fortress world. Its towers lay broken, its fleets gone, and its leaders trembling. Yet humanity had not destroyed them. Instead, they left the galaxy with something more terrifying than death: memory. Across the stars, silence reigned. For the first time in history, the mighty Galactic Council knelt not from conquest, not from invasion, But from respect forced upon them, humanity had risen from ashes and carved its name into the stars. On council worlds, statues of arrogance were torn down. People whispered of Earth as both savior and storm. Some called them protectors, others called them monsters, but all agreed on one truth: no one would ever mock humanity again. Inside the ruins of the council chamber, the supreme speaker bowed his head, his voice broken but sincere. We have learned. We will never forget. Earth is no longer the weak voice we silenced. Earth is the storm that commands the stars. The human commander stood before him, silent for a long moment. Then he spoke, his words steady, sharp as steel. We do not want your throne. We do not want your chains. We want only respect. And from this day forward, if that respect is broken, then remember, we are watching. With those words, the human fleet withdrew, their black ships fading into the void, leaving behind a galaxy forever changed. But the story did not end there, for as silence settled, new whispers began. Deep beyond known space, signals flickered, shadows stirred in regions untouched even by the Council. Something vast, something older than both Earth and the Council awoke. Alien seers spoke of it in hushed voices. A storm greater than humanity is rising, a threat that will test even their fire. Some hoped humanity would become their shield, others feared humanity would become their weapon. On Earth, the people rebuilt, their scars healing, their strength growing. Children looked to the stars not with fear but with pride. They knew their world had faced the greatest empire of the galaxy, and won. In secret chambers, human leaders met once more. The commander looked at the map of stars, his hand resting on distant, unknown sectors. We showed the galaxy our strength, but strength alone will not be enough. Something else is coming, something far darker, and when it arrives, the galaxy will look to us, another commander whispered. And if they look with fear instead of trust? The leader's eyes burned. Then we remind them again, humanity is not here to bow. Humanity is here to stand. The galaxy stood at the edge of a new dawn. The council broken, the balance shifted, and Earth rising as the storm that could not be ignored. Across every world, across every heart, one truth echoed louder than ever before. Humanity remembers, and in that memory, the galaxy's future was written. A future where Earth no longer asked for a place among the stars, but claimed it. A future where kindness had limits, where silence could turn to storms, where the smallest world could shake empires. The legend spread like fire, told in every corner of the galaxy, the tale of a race mocked as weak, who returned with fire in their veins and storms in their hands. The tale of humanity's fierce revenge that stunned the Galactic Council. But deep in the dark, beyond the edges of starlight, a new shadow waited. And when it came, the galaxy would see once more what humanity truly was. Shield, storm, or savior, and the stars themselves whispered one truth, carved in silence, carried in fire. We remember.